crazy. So you're just trying to give people nightmares?
That's what I showed my wife the trailer recently. She's like, "Oh my God, that's so terrifying." Yeah, it's a thriller, and thrillers we're trying to prey on people's like fears, and we feel like we're lucky on this one because people are talking about this. Not necessarily about AI, even though there are people talking about AI, but also I think people at home and in their work life, they're talking about how exposed they feel, and that people are listening to them. Or, and Manny, the genius of Manny's script was he says, well, what if that person listening was a computer? Was like an artificial intelligence, and I feel like we're kind of at this nexus of like people feeling exposed, and also this emerging technology that has so much potential power and negative power, and it would give it like access to all our lives.
The premise behind all that information gathering of Facebook and all that stuff is that it's so much data, and it's sort of anonymous, but it's just so much. It just gets lost in this sea that nobody can really access it and do anything useful. And we saw just a glimpse of what you can do with a Cambridge Analytica scandal. So now imagine there's something smart enough and fast enough to look at all that data. Where does that put us? We're incredibly vulnerable at that. So I think it's a really good match to light the series.
Are there human antagonists too, or is it basically the humans just against this AI?
Next uses people. It understands people. It understands human behavior, and it understands our weaknesses, our emotions, our wants and desires, and uses those to manipulate them and get people to do its bidding. It understands that it can't it's not all about turning on and off switches. It actually has to interface with humans and use them to its advantage, and that's actually in the pilot. It uses a character in this firm to just give it a wireless AI so it can actually get out into the world, and that's Wi-Fi. Yeah, what did I say?
Okay,
excuse me. Sorry. That's what I think. There's a lot of projects like this floating around, but the great thing that Manny did with this script is he did that. He said, "This is how you make it a character drama." Because we come from This Is Us. This is we directed the pilot of This Is Us, and we're ongoing executive producers, and we work on it all the time. And so it doesn't really make sense that why would we be doing a show like this? And when we read Manny's script, we're like, oh well, this is a character drama about AI, and that's the way to tell the story. Because people don't want to just tune in every week and see like some boring show about technology. They want to see human drama, and so that's the way to sort of interface between an interesting subject and a terrifying eventuality that we're all facing, and also just telling really human and heartfelt stories.
Yeah, this thing can know you better than you know yourself, basically, because you spend all day hitting like, dislike, it knows everything. So I think that's a really cool way. So instead of watching a show about bad guys hacking mainframes and typing for a half an hour, you get to see a machine actually hack people, which is kind of the twist on it. I think it's pretty cool.
The people that the machine is hacking, is it always going to be our central cast, or is there always going to be some other story?
I think there are going to be a few outlying stories that might weave into the main, but it takes this season takes place over a very compressed time frame, because once this thing gets super intelligent, it's only a matter of time before it's too smart to be defeated, or at least slowed down. So, but the thing about what I think Manny did was so cool is that it's not it doesn't have personality. It's not a human. It's not a mustache twirling villain. It's just this thing that's out there trying to do its thing, and it'll use. It's not going out just trying to be bad and mess with people. Everything it does for a reason. So even something that seems like vindictive turns out to be something really smart. It's not. There's never any case in which it's just gleefully evil and trying to take over the world. It's always very cold, very calculating, and you actually get, I think, give it human traits at your peril. Because you think the moment you start to think that it thinks like a human, you're screwed.
Why would it? It's from its point of view, we're so horribly flawed and easy to manipulate. Why would it want to be us? From its perspective, everything is so inefficient with us, and so I think and that's what's terrifying. And I think it's also what's interesting about this show is that you're seeing it becoming a different sort of living being, not our consciousness. It's not becoming us. It's not desirous to become us. It wants to stay alive and have its own identity and not be weighed down by emotion and all these human frailties that we are all strapped with.
Yeah, it's that thing. If you give it this simple task, just become smarter. That's its only programming. But where does that stop? How many computers does it need? How much power does it need? How does it get that power? It's our problem. We're in the way. Not because it's making some moral judgment on us. It's just fulfilling its program.
Yeah.
And I think any kind of AI has that potential problem. It's always going to have this little thing that we don't think about. Like when you think about self-driving cars, even, I think it's great. I think it can solve so many problems. It can get old people around. There's great things it can do. But there will come a time where it's going to have to make a decision, like, do I hit this bus full of nuns or do I hit this kid on the street? They're going to have to learn and make that call.
That is going on right now with these autonomous driving programs. Those sort of value judgments like they're already talking about that. There's two people here. There's one person there. Well, I killed the one person. That's happening right now in these developmental centers, and that's making a moral judgment. That is a computer making a moral judgment of who to kill. It's pretty shocking if you think about it.
It's just,
or do I kill the person in the car? And
the least amount of damage.
And Elon Musk says the AI, the way it's tilted in his cars, is always protect the person in the car. Yeah. And think about that. You've given a potential super intelligence those marching orders to protect that person over that person. And suddenly, what's the difference between that and a mass murderer?
Exactly.
It's crazy. So and that's not part of our show. That's what programmers are doing now.
And I think that's a real moral dilemma. And I'm talking about it could be something really minor. It could be something totally you're not thinking about. Save human life at any cost. So does that mean it's going to go around, and start killing dogs because dogs attack people? It's always going to be something we're not thinking of because it doesn't have a conscience.
It doesn't think like us.
That's what I mean. Is you assume that it's going to get it when you say don't do this or don't do. So I find that really interesting, delicious for drama.
There's a lot of story there.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Oh, you've got the pretty people.
Oh,
this is good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.